Hello, this is Stan Dubin, and welcome to the Hiring Tips Podcast. The name of this tip is Going with Your Gut Instinct. Two earlier hiring tips discussed making a hiring decision primarily on your gut instinct. Let's expand some on this gut instinct hire. For some of us, we have candidates that just click with us. No need to spend too much time verifying the resume, and the interview can be quick and to the point. Why? Because our gut tells us this is a great hire. The future looks bright. Now, maybe you put this candidate through a battery of employee tests. Maybe you didn't. I recall a client, let's call him Harry, as that was his name, and Harry was in love with a particular candidate for a key position in his company. However, the aptitude test for this candidate was abysmal. The score indicated the person would have serious difficulties following instructions. Harry called to discuss this with me, and after I went over the pros and cons with him, he got off the phone and I wasn't sure which way he was going to go. A couple days later, another set of tests come in from Harry's company. These tests, especially the aptitude test, were in much better shape. Harry calls and tells me he's even more in love with this candidate. I go over the results with him and he's as happy as a clam. Now, I just Googled where that expression, happy as a clam, came from, and apparently a clam can give the appearance of smiling. Who knew? Anyway, I asked Harry, if you were not using our testing service, you would have pulled the trigger on the previous candidate, wouldn't you have? Yes, I realize this is a shameless plug. But anyway, Harry says, I sure would have. But it's more interesting than that, Stan. I ran into that person's previous employer, and all he would talk about was his problems with following directions. So, if Harry had gone with his gut, he likely would have had some real problems with this employee. Let's say your gut tells you to hire Jane. Your gut is screaming out at you to hire her. Well, go ahead. Hire her. But make it conditional. Set up a probational time period of, say, 30 or 60 days, or whatever time period works for both of you. Make that very clear to Jane, and ensure you have a contract that spells out that for both parties. I wrote an earlier tip on conditional hires that you can look over. But the main thing here is hiring on your gut instinct can be a great success for you. It could also be an expensive failure. A conditional hire will give you considerable flexibility while you hone your gut instincts. Thank you for listening. I'd like to ask a very big favor, and that is to head over to iTunes. And if you type in the phrase hiring tips, or even just the word hiring, you'll make your way to our podcast fairly quickly. And then if you could leave us a review of any kind, and if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to the Hiring Tips Podcast. And one more big favor, let your friends and business associates know about our Hiring Tips Podcast. That would be exceptionally helpful and greatly appreciated. The Hiring Tips is brought to you by the Employee Testing Center. We have an employee testing service that will help you hire better staff. It's very accurate, easy to understand, and delightfully affordable. Watch our 3-minute video at getbetterstaff.com. That's getbetterstaff.com. Our podcast does not represent legal advice. Employment law can vary from state to state. So please consult an attorney familiar with the law that applies to the area where your business is located for any legal questions specific to your company.